Singapore may seem like a flawless city, but beneath the surface lie suffocatingly strict laws. These laws are no ordinary rules. They are powerful enough to change the course of your life with a single step. Now we reveal the real Singapore beneath that shiny facade. I'm not exaggerating when I say chewing gum is banned in Singapore. Not only is chewing gum prohibited, but even carrying it with you can cause problems. If they find gum in your luggage upon entering the country, they immediately confiscate it. Because in this country, gum is not just a simple product. It is seen as a threat that could disrupt order. This obsessive approach is also the reason why the streets are so sparkling clean. The state wants to keep even the smallest details under control. Here, gum sticking to the ground is not just a matter of cleanliness. If public transportation breaks down, if doors don't lock, if the system stops for even a few minutes, they see it as unacceptable disorder. That's why precautions are taken from the outset, in the strictest manner. As a tourist, if you are caught with gum, you don't really have a chance to say, "I didn't know." You get fined, and explanations are not enough. The rule is clear, the enforcement is clear. 2. Electronic cigarettes are banned. Electronic cigarettes are completely banned in Singapore. So it's not just smoking them that's a problem, but even carrying them. If they are visible in your bag upon entering the country, they immediately attract attention. Officials take them aside without delay, and the questions begin. This is because electronic cigarettes are not seen here as merely a habit. They are considered an element that disrupts order, public health, and public space discipline. That is why the country has drawn a strict line from the outset. The logic here is simple. The approach is, if we can't control it, we'll ban it completely. That's why it's almost impossible to see someone with a device on the street. People don't want to take the risk. Because even a first offense results in a hefty fine. Repeated offenses are even worse. So everyone is cautious, everyone stays away. As a tourist, carrying an e-cigarette and saying, "I don't use it, I just have it with me" won't save you. The rule is one piece. Smoking, carrying, buying, bringing into the country. It's all the same. It's all grounds for punishment. 3. Death penalty for drugs. Singapore's drug laws are among the strictest in the world. There are no loopholes. Possessing a certain amount of drugs is considered trafficking. Explaining your intentions or making excuses won't change the outcome. The system is very strict, and the lines are very clear. The country has adopted a zero-tolerance stance on drugs. Maintaining order is their top security priority. That's why people here are cautious even when using the word drugs. Because everyone knows the same truth. In daily life, the approach to this issue is completely distant. No one wants to take risks. Neither tourists nor locals. Even the possibility of getting caught is frightening enough. As a traveler, if you have the wrong substance with you, saying, "I wasn't carrying it, I didn't know" is not enough. Investigations are rigorous, and the rules are never relaxed. 4. Graffiti crime. Singapore's response to graffiti is incredibly harsh compared to many countries. Here, even scratching a wall is not seen as ordinary vandalism. It is considered an attack that disrupts order and damages the integrity of the city. That's why the state has drawn a very clear line against graffiti. There are prison sentences, and public caning can be added on top of that. So the result is not just a fine, but a truly severe punishment. That's why you see almost no marks on the walls in the city. No colors, no writing. It's all suppressed by law. People know that even trying it once could change their lives. Even tourists' smallest mistakes are not forgiven. With every corner of the city monitored by cameras, even approaching a hidden wall can get you into trouble. Singapore's approach to this rule actually reflects its general understanding of order. The idea that even a small scratch can turn into a big disorder is a fundamental principle here. 5. Littering and spitting are crimes. The reason Singapore's streets are so clean is not just because people are careful. There is a system constantly at work behind the scenes. Officials in plain clothes roam the city. Sometimes they seem to blend into the crowd, sometimes they wait by a bench. But they have one goal: to immediately identify anyone littering, spitting, or polluting public spaces. There is no such thing as "nobody saw me here." If you are seen, punishment is swift. Moreover, the punishment is not light. A hefty fine is imposed. For repeat offenders, things go even further. They are made to wear a yellow vest and clean the streets in public. This punishment is called CWO. And in the eyes of the people, it is known as a very embarrassing experience rather than a punishment. This system was established for a single purpose: to keep the city tidy. Everyone knows the rules. That's why people don't even throw a piece of trash on the street. Because here, even a small piece of paper is seen as a sign of disorder. Keeping the city clean is not just an aesthetic decision. 6. Unauthorized protest is a crime. There is virtually no protest culture in Singapore. This is because any unauthorized demonstration is considered a crime. The interesting thing is that you don't even need to be in a crowd. Even if you carry a sign alone or stand silently in a corner, it is considered a protest. If permission has not been obtained, the police immediately intervene. The rule here is very clear. Conveying a message on the street, especially one with a critical tone, requires a serious permit process. That's why it's difficult to see spontaneous crowds in the city. People know that even one wrong step can be recorded. There are cameras everywhere. The police are quick. The system is quite strict in this regard. In fact, in some areas, the only way to protest freely is to use a designated small area. 7. Smoking in the wrong place is a crime. Smoking is allowed in Singapore, but it is prohibited almost everywhere. So technically it is not prohibited, but in practice it is completely controlled. You notice this immediately when walking around the city. There are specific areas where people smoke. A small sign, a narrow area with marked boundaries, sometimes just a corner indicated by a sign. The moment you step outside these areas, you're taking a risk. This is because cigarette smoke is not seen as just a nuisance here. It is considered a factor that disrupts public order. Smoking is strictly monitored, especially in crowded areas, near public transportation, and at the entrances to enclosed spaces. Even if an officer doesn't approach you, the cameras are watching. Surveillance is constant. 8. Bringing durian fruit on the metro is prohibited. Durian fruit has an interesting place in Singapore. Although it seems to be one of the country's symbols, it is definitely not welcome on public transportation. It is prohibited to bring durian on the metro, bus, or any enclosed public transportation area. The only reason for this is its smell. Because the smell of durian is not a slight nuisance. When it spreads in an enclosed space, it creates a strong odor that affects people's breathing, comfort, and even their sense of security. That's why Singapore is strict about this. You often see durian signs at metro entrances. A large durian drawing inside a red circle. That sign is more than just a warning. It's saying, if you bring this inside, you'll be fined. Officials are also very vigilant about this. Even the smell of a bag can raise suspicion. When tourists are curious about durian, they often ignore this rule. They carry it with them, saying, it's just fruit. But in Singapore, the fact that it's fruit doesn't change anything. The moment durian enters the subway, the entire car can be affected. The country does not accept this. It wants order to be maintained, no one to be disturbed, and the system to run smoothly. 9. Crossing outside the crossing is a crime. Crossing outside the crossing in Singapore is not as simple as you might think. Here, jaywalking is not just seen as a traffic violation. It is considered behavior that disrupts order, flow, and safety. That's why crosswalks are placed at specific intervals. Barriers, directional signs, cameras. They are all there to direct people to the right place. When walking around the city, you see how careful people are. Even if the road is empty, they don't just step out. They look around first. Where is the nearest crossing? Where is the directional sign? Is the light on? They check all of this with a quick reflex. Tourists are the group that struggles with this rule the most. They might think, why is it a problem to cross when there are no cars? But for Singapore, it's not about traffic. It's about order. 10. Bringing pornographic content is prohibited. Singapore takes a much tougher stance on pornographic content than many other countries. It's not just about the content itself. The government views it as an element that disrupts social order and affects people's behavior in public spaces. Therefore, if such content is detected in your bag, phone, or computer upon entering the country, the situation immediately becomes serious. Customs officials are very vigilant about this. Scanners, digital checks, brief interrogations. All of these are a natural part of the process. This rule is one of the most surprising points for tourists, because many people consider it part of their personal space. Thoughts like "what's on my phone is nobody's business" don't apply here. Singapore's perspective is clear. The content can be physical or digital. USBs, CDs, external hard drives, even your cloud account can be checked. Saying, "I didn't have it with me, I downloaded it from the internet," doesn't change anything. 11. Being naked at home is a crime. In Singapore, your home is your private space, yes. But the boundary of that private space ends where you can see outside the window. So, walking around naked at home is not a problem. The problem starts if someone outside can see you. It doesn't even have to be someone actually seeing you. Just being visible is enough for the law. This comes as a surprise to many people. Buildings in the city are close together. Windows are large. There is plenty of sunlight. That's why people have made it a habit to close their curtains. Because even a moment of comfort can turn into a complaint. If a neighbor is disturbed, the process begins. Officials come, statements are taken, and depending on the situation, fines can be imposed. This is a situation that tourists also frequently encounter. It seems normal to behave comfortably in a hotel room. But in Singapore, even the possibility of being seen is considered public indecency. 12. Feeding birds is prohibited. Feeding birds in Singapore may seem like an innocent act at first glance, but it is considered a serious problem for the city. Pigeons, in particular, are a species that must be kept under control here. This is because they multiply rapidly, gather in crowded places, and pose both a disease risk and environmental pollution. For this reason, feeding birds in parks, on the street, on the beach, or in any open area is prohibited. You see this frequently when walking around the city. Small warning signs next to benches, "Feeding birds is prohibited" signs plastered on columns. They all say the same thing. If you feed them, you will be fined. Moreover, the penalty is not a mild warning. It is a direct monetary fine. Tourists are the group most surprised by this rule. This is because in many countries, feeding birds is an enjoyable activity. But in Singapore, this behavior is seen as disrupting the city's order, creating large groups of birds, littering the park, affecting the flow of people. All of these are risks.